Welcome to another episode of This Old Gat. And what I have here today is a prop. Some of you may actually recognize what that is or who carried it. Extra credit if you put it in the comments. But down here, on the other hand, what we have here is a Type 38 Arisaka. It's actually designed and modified by Kijirō Nambu, but the original was an Arisaka. So anyway, as you can tell, it's in pretty good shape. You probably also notice that it's got a rack number here. The other thing you're going to notice is it has a mum, sort of. It is intact, but it's modified, as you can see here. Why is that? Well, it has a dust cover too. Forgot to mention that. I don't know if this is going to show up too well on the camera, but I'm going to try to turn this just so. Basically, these kanji here say 38 type, and very, very faintly here it says school. This is the marking for school. It's very faint, but it's there. And the reason is, well, before I get into the reason, I should probably describe more about the gun. So, this is a Type 38, which I believe is a modification of the Type 30 and 35 Arisakas. Some of the things that make this unique is this palm safety lever. Let's see if I can get the camera to cooperate. So I guess they figured if your hands were cold or disabled or whatever, you can just use the flat of your hand and push in and twist to engage the safety. I kind of like it. Matter of fact, I bought the gun just for the safety. I know it sounds strange. The dust cover is not numbers matching to the rifle, but it works and it fits and it runs just fine. The bolt will remain open on the last round because the follower gets in the way, so you have to push this to retract the bolt back in. It's basically a Japanese Mauser, more or less, functionally. Even the takedown of the bolt where you pull this out on the way out. This is a early to mid production model by the serial. It is a Tokyo Arsenal rifle, as denoted by that marking there. I did some basic research on the serial number run, and this rifle would have been made, I believe, in the mid to late 1920s. And I think, you know, for almost a 100-year-old rifle, this old girl's in pretty good shape. Has a two-piece rear stock that is dovetailed in. Their wood choices were not the greatest, so they had to make do with what they had. But this is a very solid, there's no groove splitting open here. It's a very solid stock. And I'm trying to remember what the finish was. It had something to do with a poison sumac. So a lot of people say don't try to strip this finish because you could get a really nasty rash. Luckily for me, the finish on this rifle is in really good shape. Pretty shiny. I'll probably just wipe it down and oil it, to be perfectly honest. There's no cracks, no splits, no mess. That's the way we like it. Overall general inspection, here's the top fore end. And the sights, flip ups. The anti-aircraft sights came later on the 99. Unprotected front sight, not a big deal because civilian use, right? So I believe this rifle holds, 5 rounds, 6.5 Japanese, which I will be hand loading. So why did I choose this for This Old Gat? Number one, cool story. This rifle was taken out of military service and sent to the Tokyo Arsenal School. And what they would do is they would take a good condition rifle with a clean bore, and I will put an inset picture somewhere down here so you can see the bore. And they gave them to the instructor to teach, I guess, upcoming junior armorers how to maintain these rifles in the field and at the armory level. So this rifle has probably been apart more times than it's been used in actual combat. But because of that, it's handled very well. It's not handled and dropped and broken and whatnot. They just take it apart, they show you how it works, they put it back together, so on, so on, and so on. So I've got the teacher's rifle. Kind of cool. Training rifles are similar to this, but you do not want to fire them because the receivers are made out of like a pot metal, so they're not made to hold pressure. They were made to fire blanks. And the other dead giveaway is if you look down the bore, they will be smooth. There will be no rifling. So if you get one that's called a training rifle and you buy it for a lot of money, you might have got ripped off. If you buy it for a little money and you realize it's got a smooth bore and something's weird about that receiver, you've got a really pretty wall hanger. Don't try to shoot it. So in this old Gat, there's really not a lot for me to do. It was basically inspection and research. However, I did find one problem, and it has to do with the butt plate here. See if you can hear that. It's a little jiggly. And the reason for that being will be next. Let me go ahead and strip this down into its component pieces, and I will show you what we'll be doing today. And hopefully, I may even teach a few old dogs a couple of new tricks, because I'm going to attempt a repair that I've never seen done before, and may be the future of how people will start doing it. Cool, huh? Anyway, stick around. We'll get to that.
A few moments later.
All right, so that took about maybe 10 minutes. Maybe 10 minutes. Not that bad. I'm trying to mess with this camera here a little bit so you can see better. Okay. So this is all I needed. One steel punch, 1/16, one brass punch, a couple of assorted hollow ground bits, and my little hammer here. And this is a completely strip type 38. I've even taken apart the takedown and the cleaning rod spring, and it's got this little block and screw up here, as you can see. Just got to be gentle and patient, take a really hard look at how things fit, and they're very simple to take apart, and that just slides right out the front. And there's the spring for the rear band, or the middle band, I guess you would call it. No, it is a rear band because there's only two. Barreled action's clean. I knew it was clean before I bought it, so I don't have to boil that. Just wipe it down maybe. Same thing with the trigger group, just wipe it down and oil it. Magazine box is in fairly good shape, but I'm gonna go ahead and boil this anyway. I will not be boiling the spring and the follower, but I'll be boiling the follower and the plate, but not the spring. Clean up all the screws. Rear swing swivel. This is like the upper tang, and this is the lower tang. It sort of sandwiches and holds this in place with this screw here and the screw here. And then the butt plate. So what I'll probably end up doing is, I need someone in the comments to tell me if this is correct, but it looks like the middle production ones were white bolts and they blued the handles. So I don't want to grind that, or I don't want to polish that down to the white because it looked pretty uniformly black up there. So what I'll probably do is I'll just leave that alone and clean it and just polish the bolt body. Let's see. Upper handguard's in good shape, no cracks or splits, but I did find something strange as I took it apart. There is like some sort of linen in here. It was in there in this orientation. Not really sure what for. It's not hurting anything. It's not holding moisture or water or anything, so I might just give it a few drops of oil to let it stay soaked and just put it back in place. Not sure. If you know what that's about, let me know in the comments below. But I don't have to clean it. It's already clean. So there's that. So what am I doing for this old gat? The list that I wrote a few days ago is to boil the mag floor plate, the trigger guard, the mag box, the follower, the barrel bands, the sling swivel, the butt plate, the screws, and polish the rear of the tang. Or basically I'm polishing inside here where the bolt fits in, because that is in the white. So I'm going to clean all this up inside here. But the problem I've got is if you remember, I was tapping on this and you can hear it ring and kind of sound loose. And the problem is let me see if I can get the camera to play nice. There we go. This screw hole is chewed out quite badly. So the screw just fits inside and kind of wiggles around. So what I'll probably do, aside from cleaning the butt, and you can get a good shot of the dovetail here, is I don't think I've ever seen it done before this way. But I'm going to do it this way because I want it to be a permanent fix, and I want it to be a high quality fix. So the first thing I've thought of was, why don't I helicoil it? Well, it's not metal, first of all, so that's my first problem. My second problem is it's kind of ghetto, because then I have to find a helicoil that'll match this hand-cut screw. That ain't gonna happen. So I thought, what if I replace the wood? And then I found these. These are Miller stepped walnut dowels. I found them on Amazon. And they look like this. They're crenulated, and you can see they got 3 steps in them. I don't know how well that's coming out, but they got 3 steps in them. They got a nice flat back to them. And the company that makes these also makes this. So this is a stepped drill bit to match the profile of their dowel exactly. Right there. See that cut right there, right here? So the plan is I'm going to come over to this side of the butt, and I'm going to insert this about yay far. So it's not going to punch out the other side. Right about there. Yeah, right about there. And then I'm going to acroglass the hole ever so slightly, and I'm going to put a thin layer of it on here, and then we're going to drive this in flush, or just about flush. I know it looks like it's going to break through, but it's not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the entire bit of wood, and then drill a hole in the middle of the new dowel, the diameter ever so slightly smaller than the screw of the rear butt plate, and then feed it into here. And it should become a permanent fixture. Now normally I don't film that process because we can't do how-tos. So it's going to be done in a series of photos. But essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all the boiling at once, and to make best use of my time, while that's boiling, I will go ahead and drill that and tap this in until it sits flush, and then I'll let that sit and cure overnight, and then we'll punch the hole in, run the screw back in, and that should be a permanent fix. I know that seems a bit scary about how close to the edge that is, but if you look, I've got over an inch from that end to the end of the stock, so I don't think it's going to break through or anything. I'm just going to do it low speed, take my time, get the hole all the way in nice and clean and straight. Thankfully I can use the original hole as a guide, so most of the bit will go in already, and then just finish it off. And I'll just punch that with my little 19-volt Makita, and we'll get that underway. So sit tight, enjoy the montage of still shots, and away we go.
later.
This is Cleo. This is the mother of all my puppies. She is slowly getting back to her fighting weight. She's healthy. She just had her third litter, and she's a good girl. But anyway, this is what you came to see. This is my now completed Type 38 Arisaka. It doesn't look very different than when I started, right? But that's the whole point. I got in here and I made a repair, and it didn't look like I was here. We boiled some barrel bands and springs. We cleaned up everything in here. We inspected the wood. There's no cracks. We reassembled it just like we found it. So those little linen things are still inside. And we reassembled and oiled after conserving all these metal parts. As you can see, they're pretty now. They're very pretty now. And the best part is, remember that rattling noise back here? Solid. That is one solid repair. Now, one thing I can tell is somebody tried to sand this stock at one point because it's a bit proud on this side, right here. But on this side, it's almost perfectly level. So in the pictures of the montage, you might have saw how I sort of ovaled out the hole that I made for that screw. For that screw. And the reason I did that was so I'd have a little wiggle room so the head can drive the plate and center it. But the hole itself was straight all the way into the dowel, which, as you can hear, there's no rattle. It's all the way in flush. All these cleaned up nice. And I tried to clean up the bolt. You can't see it under the dust cover, but I polished the bolt. And we cleaned the inside and the lifter, the follower. We did not boil the spring. I didn't want to potentially compromise the tension on the spring. But we boiled all the parts that I talked about earlier, and then we reassembled. And then I'll probably just put a nice coat of, I forgot the name of it now, but it's a wood oil. And I'll just give it a nice sheen, and we'll call it a day. This dent here was never coming out. There's just no way. I mean, that's so far in. If I steamed it, this whole piece of wood would have turned white. So I'm just going to live with that. I think you can too. But anyway, if you like what you see here. Oh, I didn't tell you what I paid for it. So anyway, I've been trying to convince people that even though ammo prices were bad last year and new guns were kind of expensive last year, milsurps are sort of immune. They've become slightly immune. Anyway, I was cruising Gunbroker and I saw this Type 38 and I saw this awesome safety. And I put in a bid or two for it. And if I remember right, I think I got this for less than $400. Pretty sure. The only gun that I overspent on was the Dutch Beaumont, and I think that was $700, which was insane. I know it's insane, but most of these other milsurps I bought are $200 to $400, and this is no exception. But anyway, nice, clean, sweet little Arisaka, Type 38. I'll be doing a Pwnery's reloading bench for the ammo for this. Give you one last look across the top. Nice and clean. Didn't boil the barrel. Barrel's clean. Bluing's good. I just cleaned the mung off of it. Green Scotch-Brite pad and some hops. Cleaned right up. But anyway, I want to go ahead and thank you, for taking the time to watch another episode of This Old Gat. And if you like what you saw, maybe hit the old like button. If you're new to my channel, maybe hit the subscribe down there, and welcome to the channel. I also have 3 other types of content, so you might want to check the other playlists and see if some of those are of interest to you. If not, it's cool. But anyway, like I said earlier, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more This Old Gats, Pwnery's reloading benches, Pwnery's Penny Arcade. Maybe a couple of my Yorkies over there. She really likes these. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Later.